One of the hot topics at the website today is the status of Baker Mayfield, the first overall pick in the 2018 draft, who has dislocated his shoulder twice in a 4-week window, and the Browns on a short week as they prepare for the Broncos to come to town. Here is Baker Mayfield today talking about the left shoulder injury and whether or not he believes he will play against Denver on Thursday night.
Today's better than yesterday, that's for sure. Just kind of back to the basics, trying to get the inflammation down and see where it goes, just one day at a time.
You still expect to play Thursday night?
I do. You know, obviously, if I was in a physical state where I wasn't able to play to the best of my abilities and I was hurting the team, I wouldn't do that because I care about winning and I want to get this team in the best position to do that. So I want to be out there, I want to get healthy, I want to do all that. So that's just what it's about. I have to make that decision. Only I know how my body feels. And if anyone questions whether, I'm hindering the team and going out there injured, that's just not right. So it's my decision. I get to say, whether I'm able to play or not, and that's just how it is.
You kind of lost me with the last point there, Baker, because it's not your decision if you're able to help the team or if you're hurting the team, because you're not objective in this. And I love Baker Mayfield's moxie, his confidence. You need to be confident like that to thrive in a professional sporting environment. But Charean, there's always the balance. Starter at what below 100% is superseded by backup who is fully healthy. And Case Keenum, who has a history with Kevin Stefanski, Case Keenum, who took the Vikings to the NFC Championship in 2017. At a certain point, Baker Mayfield is hurting the team, and he is not the person who should be deciding whether or not he plays. It's not his birthright to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. The team has to act in its best interest, and if the team thinks that Keenum gives them a better chance to win because Mayfield playing injured isn't good for anybody, including Mayfield, then that's a decision someone else has to make, not him.
Well, and he lost me the quote before the one you're talking about when he says that the injury has nothing to do with how he's playing. So basically it means he's not playing very well. I mean, because the injury, I think, had something to do with his performance the other day. If it didn't, he's just a really bad quarterback, and maybe he should be benched for performance rather than for medical. I mean, really.
No.
It wasn't
You're
a good
right,
performance,
though.
Mike.
He has a perfect
good.
excuse. Take the excuse. Take the excuse for your poor performance.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, but they need better quarterback play. And Case Keenum can do that, Mike. If Baker starts, I guarantee you he's going to be on a short leash.
Yeah. Well, and at some point you have to protect the guy from himself. At some point you have to protect the team from a player who believes that he is entitled to continue to play. I admire the willingness. I admire the determination. I admire the raw stubbornness. But at some point that has to yield to reality. And the reality is Mayfield hasn't been playing well, and it's a pretty simple choice. Either you're not playing well because you're injured or you're not playing well because you stink. It stinks for the Browns because they're not going to have Nick Chubb. He is out with a calf injury. Kareem Hunt, the other running back to the 1 and 1A, Chubb and Hunt. Hunt is on injured reserve with a calf injury. They got some issues in Cleveland. This is the worst time of the year for them to have that short week game. And, I mentioned this earlier in the year, and that spotlight has moved to the Browns. Charean, that spotlight of a cluster of injuries that will test a team's depth and its resolve and its ability to fight through adversity, that spotlight is just going to keep moving around the NFL, and everyone's going to get a piece of it at some point this year. And what do you do when you're in that spot? And it's not just injuries. The Cardinals, what they went through this past weekend with all the COVID, and they managed to win. The Raiders, what they're going through with the Gruden dysfunction, departure, and everything else, they found a way to win. Can you find a way to win when you've got all these issues? That's the test for the Browns on Thursday night.
Yeah, Dearness Johnson is going to make his first start at running back, and he's hardly played any snaps on offense over the last 3 seasons, but he's going to get his opportunity. The bigger thing that relates to Baker, in my mind, Mike, is the 2 injured tackles. Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin are hurt, and who knows how that works out. As Von Miller said today, I don't care who they play at tackle, I'm going to kill the quarterback. So that does not bode That does not, I'm kind of paraphrasing there, and it's probably not accurate, but basically that's what he said. I don't care who's playing tackle. I'm going to get back there. And he probably will. He has 4.5 sacks this season. He probably will have more after this game, especially if those tackles aren't there. Even if they are, they're not going to be 100%. So this could be a very bad game for Baker Mayfield, Mike, if he starts, because he's not going to have much time, and he's going to take some hits again on that injured shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be a challenge for the Browns to pull off the victory. The defense has not been good in recent games. 84 points given up over the past 2 games after only surrendering 13 the 2 games before that. Short week, and then a little mini bye, and then the Steelers and the Bengals. We're going to learn a lot about the Browns and whether the Browns is the Browns all over again this year. It's disappointing to see them at 3-3. They are far below their expectations. Twice now in the last 3 years, they've come into a season with high expectations. In 2019, they failed to live up to them, and this year so far, they are failing to live up to the expectation that they wouldn't just be a playoff team, that they would be a Super Bowl contender in the AFC. And, you know, the subtext to all of this, and it dovetails with the topic we're going to discuss next, the subtext to all of this with Mayfield is when and if they'll give him a major second contract. They haven't yet. I think his desire to prove himself and to earn that money is one of the things that's pushing him to keep playing, because he wants to show he's got the Iron Man tendency, and he's going to suit up every week, and he's going to play well every week, and he earns that money. The cautionary tale is out there from other quarterbacks who were taken high in the draft and got big contracts. Charean, this is in the balance right now, and I'm not going to be surprised if the Browns have a different quarterback in a couple years, the way this is currently going for Mayfield.
Well, and Mike, you've talked all along about what the Browns should do. Baker hasn't proved himself this year as they thought he would. What do you do with Baker Mayfield now? You certainly don't give him a contract, do you, going into next year?
I think you wait, and I think that you definitely wait. And he'll be franchised. Well, no, next year's the option year, and then franchise tag after that.
Right.
And that's when you get into the dangerous game, the Kirk Cousins game, the Dak Prescott game, and he could come out and play really well, and then he gets stubborn and he decides to push his way to the open market. But he's going to have to prove a lot to get the kind of money on the open market that he may want from the Browns. So, look, the Browns need to view the quarterback position the same way they view every other position. They are very numbers-driven, very analytics-driven, and they have to ask themselves, what does Mayfield want, and how much will it cost us to get a replacement who would be as good, possibly better, than Baker Mayfield? And they've got the rest of the infrastructure in place. You know, as Aaron Rodgers is looking around for teams for 2022, just to name one, or Russell Wilson, who was born in Ohio, by the way, could be looking around for a place where he thinks he can have the career that would make him, as he puts it, legendary and iconic. The Browns right now, beyond the quarterback position, have a hell of a lot better team, position by position, player by player, than the Seattle Seahawks. So they could be an attractive destination next year for one of these veterans thinking, I want to go somewhere and have a Tom Brady kind of an outcome. And Baker Mayfield could be the Jameis Winston who ends up thrown overboard. It could be next year or the year after. But and I know Baker Mayfield's not going to like that talk, but you know what? One way to stop that talk is, quite simply,
Play better.
To play better. It's on you. It's just like, you know, when we talked about Tua before the season, and it's still continuing. If Tua doesn't like the Deshaun Watson talk, play better. If any quarterback out there doesn't like chatter about someone else possibly taking their job, play better.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.